Muggsy's hit 5 of his last 6 field goal attempts. He has 14 on the night. 51 seconds left to play. Charlotte by 2. Rookie Hubert Davis chased by Kendall Gill. Here's Ewing. Ewing, no good. Oakley off him, out of bounds. Charlotte ball.
The great call off Oakley's head.
Ronnie Nunn made a big call, and it was the correct one. It went right off the front of his head. Kendall Gill goes out. Gill's wrist hurting, so he has to go out. Tony Bennett comes on the floor.
Hornets have the ball handlers in the game, including Bennett.
Ewing and Mourning battling in the low post as Bogues brings it into front court. Hornets want time. Muggsy Bogues, you see the shot clock in the lower left, game clock in the lower right. Bogues, 7 on the shot clock. Alonzo. Mason gets the rebound, lost it out of bounds. Hornets ball.
Well, it's time that the Hornets get a good break. They got it just then. And Doc Rivers might get a tech. He's over there joining Ronnie Nunn on the sideline. Ronnie might tech him.
I saw Dick Harder give Ronnie Nunn the choke sign. That usually means a tech.
Pat Riley saying foul, so be prepared to go to the line because the foul's going to come.
Muggsy Bogues with it. 10 seconds left. New York has to foul, and Hubert Davis finally does with 6.7 seconds left. 108-106 with 6.7 seconds left to go. Del Curry getting set to inbound. Rolando Blackman guarding him. New York anticipating getting the ball back. Here's Muggsy out front. He gets fouled by Hubert Davis, and now he'll go to the line. 5.5 seconds left. Muggsy on the line for important free throws.
And I guess it's fitting that he is on the line. He's done such a good job. He should get an opportunity to take all the credit. And knocking down 2 foul shots will certainly put it all on his ledger tonight.
Del Curry and Tony Bennett will come out. And Wingate and Gill will come in for defensive purposes. Muggsy hits the first. He was 4 for 8 in the playoffs on the foul line prior to that shot. And Charlotte now has held the line on their last 3 foul shots, hitting all 3. Mourning with those 2 big ones to send it into this overtime. And the big one by Muggsy Bogues. It's a 4-point lead. New York wants a timeout. And listen to the crowd here in Charlotte as Muggsy Bogues comes to the sideline. Anthony to inbound. 5.5 seconds left. Starts with a 3. No good. Rebound tip. Wingate gets it. This one's over. The Hornets defeat the New York Knicks.
The big story here tonight concerning Michael Jordan's physical conditions.
Against Russell to the free throw line. Hangs in the air, jumper good.
Oh, shot.
MJ, this will be the guttiest performance maybe all time.
Back Michael, open 3. Yes! They lead it. 38 points for the Kings.
Duck and dagger at him with a 3.
Classic performance by the blue-ribbon Michael Jordan.
The NBA, where caring happens. This is a 15-point game.
This Blazer team has so much confidence, it is scary.
Shaw shooting the 3. Good on the left side. Brian Shaw brings the Lakers even at 75. 15 points in a row for LA.
Now playing out between the rings, guarded by Pippen. Kobe on the move.
Kobe's down the middle. He's in deep. Throws to Shaq. Slam dunk.
From the brink of elimination to the brink of the NBA Finals.
7.5. They're going wild in the United Center. We're tied at 82, and Chicago will have 7.5 seconds in the ball.
MJ, top of the circle against Russell. Michael Higgs fires. Got it.
Game 7. No two words in sports are more dramatic. For one team, the dream of an NBA championship remains alive. For the other, it's the finality of yet another season unfulfilled. Karl Malone and John Stockton have spent their storybook careers in Utah and have never been this close to the NBA Finals. Their legacy and personal achievements will forever hold a place in NBA history. Tonight, they face what could be their last shot at their ultimate ambition. Shawn Kemp and Gary Payton are the next generation and heirs apparent to the Malone-Stockton standard. Early on, it appeared youth was poised to triumph. The star tandem led Seattle to a 3-1 series edge, just one win shy of the team's first final round appearance since 1979. The momentum has since shifted to the Jazz. Stockton and Malone have brought their team back to the brink of the promised land. Seattle's past playoff horrors are again staring them in the face. But this team has exhibited superior character this year. Can that character prevail? Or will the Jazz ride their own momentum? The winner goes to Chicago.
This is the NBA on NBC. The 1996 NBA Conference Finals.
Welcome to Seattle, Washington. Tonight, the pinnacle of Western Conference basketball. Game 7 between the Utah Jazz and the Seattle Sonics. On Friday, 5,000 fans have showed up in downtown Seattle to cheer their Sonics on as they approach Game 7. Jerry Sloan has brought his Utah Jazz to town, a determined John Stockton and his Seattle counterpoint, Gary Payton. Percy Hawkins of the Sonics kissing his loved ones goodbye as he enters Key Arena for the biggest game of his career, and Detlef Schrempf is ready as well. So is a packed house at Key Arena for Game 7 between the Sonics and the Jazz. Hi everyone and welcome to Seattle. I'm Greg Gumbel along with Bill Walton and Steve Jones. Let's start with the Utah Jazz first, who are breathing some very rare air these days. It's the first time in the 22-year history of the Utah Jazz has the franchise been in a Game 7 of a Western Final. They have never before played a basketball game in the month of June. All of this has the big players ready, including Karl Malone.
I look forward to the big game because you don't need any pep talk. You don't need, my ideal situation is for Coach Sloan to walk in the pregame meeting and say, I don't have nothing to say, you guys know how big it is. That's what I would love. Because I've never been here before, and I try to approach it the same as always, but it's an excitement that I like because everything's on the line. And like I said, it's no excuses, and you get ready to play these kind of games. No matter where you're at. It don't matter if you was playing them out in the parking lot. Game 7 is what it's all about.
For Karl Malone, known as the mailman, it's been rain, sleet, mud, snow, whatever. He's always made the delivery for the Utah Jazz. But this is a player who loves a big stage and relishes the big moment. He plans on delivering not only today, but deep into June because he needs a championship.
All right, Steve. Meanwhile, the Seattle Sonics, well, they're still fighting ghosts of the past. Each of the last 2 years eliminated in the first round with 3 consecutive losses. A third straight loss to Utah today would send them home and not to the finals. They're also fighting some local battles. Take a look at the newspaper headline that greeted them after a Game 6 loss in Salt Lake City, but none of this deters head coach George Karl.
Every month this year, we've won big games. Every month. November, December, January. We've gone and won games where people didn't think we have a chance of winning. And we've come back and won games at home when we were down 9 with a minute to go. We've done things with character. So, yeah, I think you're going to see a damn good basketball team play a damn good basketball game.
Seattle's high wire act stumbled this week, but fortunately they have the NBA's ultimate safety net, the home court advantage. Won this year in spectacular fashion, where they were second only to the Chicago Bulls. Won because of the electrifying play of Gary Payton, who carried this team throughout. Now the biggest of these games are decided by the brightest stars. They've got to let themselves go out and be more than just yourself. Being average won't get it done today, and animated Gary Payton for Seattle has to play the absolute best game of his life. In the end, history will be very kind, Greg, to the winning Stars today.
All right, Bill. Bob Costas in our NBA studios after a timeout, and then Malone, Stockton, and the Utah Jazz against Kemp, Payton, and the Seattle Sonics. Game 7. Hey, what more do you have to know?
What a sensational move. Vince Carter taking over.
Incredible.
Indeed. Wow, what hasn't he done tonight? What a finish. Oh, my. What a shot by Jameson.
That was remarkable.
Oh, we're in for a dandy tonight. The party continues.
That's as good as it gets. That's all about hustle right here.
Deep three, she got it.
Diana Taurasi getting off to a hot start.
Don't bring that weak stuff in here. Oh, my goodness. Somehow gets the roll. This is amazing. What a move. What a pass. Oh, what a bucket.
Play hard, play smart, play together, all right?
Holy smokes!
Oh, it's going to be that kind of game, is it?
Unbelievable! Open it off the window. Can you believe it?
Elevates.
And built it up! How about that for a surge of energy? Oh, my goodness!
What else can you say?
What a play! Big shot! Oh, my goodness!
The crowd is going wild.
If this isn't the best game in league history, it's up there.
Holy smokes!
This is what the WNBA is all about.
Welcome back to the NBA's greatest games.
Game 7 on tap in Seattle. Let's go to the public address announcer here at Key Arena, Jim Gracie.
The following is a presentation of Full House Sports and Entertainment. And now, ladies and gentlemen, time for today's starting lineups. First of all, for the visiting Utah Jazz. A 6'1" guard from Gonzaga, number 12, John Stockton. A 6'4" guard from Iowa State, number 14, Jeff Hornacek. 7-foot center from Louisville, number 50, Felton Spencer. A 6'8" forward from Auburn, number 43, Chris Morris. And a 6'9" forward from Louisiana Tech, number 32, Karl Malone. Ladies and gentlemen, get on your feet for the 1996 Pacific Division champions, your Seattle Supersonics. And today's starting lineup for your Supersonics. A 6'4" guard from Oregon State, number 20, Gary Payton. A 6'3" guard from Grambling University, number 33, Hersey Hawkins. 6'11" center from New Orleans, number 50, Irvin Johnson. 6'10" forward from the University of Washington, number 11, and a 6'10" forward from Trinity Junior College, number 40, Sean. And the head coach of your Seattle Supersonics, George Karl.
Working the sidelines with us this evening, Ahmad Rashad and Jim Gray. Let's check in with Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Greg. And talking to Jerry Sloan about the home court advantage that Seattle has, he says that it definitely will affect them. But at this point in the season, it's all about focus and tunnel vision. It's almost like challenging yourself to see how hard you can practice in the gym all by yourself. And I talked to Karl Malone about this 7th game of this playoff series. He said it's a one-game playoff, and there are no tricks, there are no adjustments. The toughest team wins. He feels like they have the toughest team. Now for the Seattle side of it, let's go down to Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Ahmad. Well, I spoke with George Karl, and he told me he really didn't sleep much last night. Now, Karl usually speaks to his team for about 8 minutes before the game. Well, today, after about 3 minutes, he just said, hey, guys, get out of here. Forget all this stuff. Just go play and be your best. Now, as for Nate McMillan, he's been bothered by a bad back. That has led to a right hamstring problem. Well, McMillan told me that he has taken a shot of cortisone to try and loosen things up. He says right now, it has not kicked in. He feels as though he will be very limited in his abilities. And finally, now, as for Gary Payton, who has had a life-threatening family crisis all this week, which has been talked about, he told me now that last night the entire family spent the evening together, that things are now much, much better. He was with his mother, his father, and his sister, and now he can simply concentrate on basketball.
Are you ready? Sonics fans, are you ready? For the thousands in attendance here at the Key and the millions watching around the world on television, there's only one thing left to say. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble!
And that's how noisy it gets here in Seattle on occasion, especially for Game 7. I think the table has been suitably set. Dick Bavetta, Hugh Evans, Mike Mathis are our officials.
Greg, Seattle has to get back to playing their type of basketball. Their defense has got to force turnovers as Karl Malone and Sean Kemp get ready. They got to get to the hoop, Seattle, and then finish strongly. That's particularly Gary Payton there. And their interior game has to set up lots of three-point shooting for Seattle.
Well, this game has been a day too late for everybody. All these players are ready. You talk about sweaty palms. They really want to get each other. And I think the Utah Jazz feel that they had played yesterday. Certainly, they would be the victors.
Teams have gotten off to quick starts the last 2 games. Tuesday night, Game 5, the Seattle Sonics jumped off to a 10-0 lead. Thursday night in Salt Lake City, it was Utah jumping to a 12-0 start.
Foul called on Karl Malone for an elbowing foul. Mike Mathis right on the call. You look at the history of the home court advantage in Game 7s. Severely dominant, over 80%.
Hersey Hawkins, who has sworn to come out more aggressive. Sean Kemp with the turnaround.
The Utah Jazz know that the Sonics want an emotional start. They want to keep the crowd in the ball game, and their job is to control the tempo of the game, control the crowd.
Look for a very physical game here today. Malone shot no good. Kemp with the rebound.
The quickness of Gary Payton.
game has so many plots and subplots, but the one that everyone's hanging their hat on are the two stars, Peyton and Kemp, Stockton and Malone, everyone pulling for the veterans. They haven't ever been there to a championship, but these young guys know you don't get many chances.
Irvin Johnson with the foul at this end of the court, and we go the other way.
Terrific refereeing right off the start. 2 offensive fouls on screen sets. The first on Karl Malone with a wild elbow, then on Irvin Johnson.
Pass inside, picked off by the Sonics.
Utah's got to get something at the basket. Seattle's pushing them back.
Payton. Gary Payton was out here earlier than he has ever been for a playoff game. He's very determined to change things around from a subpar performance last time out. Payton is there.
What they didn't do in games 5 and 6 was come up with the loose ball, have that energy, make the big plays.
Traveling violation is called. No basket.
Payton said, I was dribbling. You can't travel when you're dribbling, but they take it away.
Terrific officiating. No offensive fouls called on screens. They're calling steps.
Each side, 2 turnovers. We still have a 2-0 game. 10-10 to play in the first. Stockton breaks free.
Perfect execution in the half-court set. Utah's forte. Slicing off that post. Maybe that foul that Karl Malone took early was worth it. Now the guards coming off will be a little hesitant.
Well, that foul was well intended. I mean, this is a physical team. They want the Sonics to know that it's not going to be an easy afternoon. Illegal defense, Utah.
You will see that call more than a few times this evening. Let's go back to that terrific passing play at the other end.
John Stockton off the high post pick. His biggest obstacle today, John Stockton, is going to be overcoming his greatest strength, which is consistency. He's got to elevate his game today over his normal level.
Detlef Schrempf. Schrempf averaging 15.9 a game in the playoffs.
They haven't gotten Schrempf involved in the games early enough in 5 and 6. He came out early as well. Wasn't missing a shot. That jumper showed he's going to be looking to try to take advantage of Morris and Russell.
Hornacek down the lane off the pass from Malone.
Karl Malone continues to pass beautifully. Utah needs to get Chris Morris a shot early to get him involved. He was brilliant at the start of Game 6.
Schrempf.
Nice step out by Felton Spencer, who also has to make some early contributions.
Tied at 4. Stockton top of the key for 3.
Real John Stockton showed up in Game 6 and appears to be carrying that forward. That's 5 early. Sean Kemp.
Stripped to the ball, out of bounds to Utah.
Steve, John Stockton started turning it around in the overtime of Game 5. Got an offensive rebound, made some steals. That jumper exemplifies the spring and life in his game.
Shooting just 27% from behind the line so far, and he hits a second straight one.
The guy couldn't make a shot for 5 games, and suddenly he's can't miss. A big story for the Utah Jazz.
Kemp will go to the line for the 3-point play.
Superb job for Sean Kemp. Eschewing the double clutch, which has been his downfall for years. Just going right in once the contact goes, just continuing right through. The disappointing and disconcerting thing for George Karl and the Sonics is in Game 5 and 6, Sean Kemp was terrific. At big minutes, no fouls at all. Terrible play.
Irvin Johnson couldn't convert the gift giveaway. Back come the Jazz. Chris Morris for 3. And the Jazz have come out clicking from behind the 3-point line. They lead at 13-6.
It's an extremely athletic and talented Utah team. Steps or 3 seconds.
Well, 3 seconds. Kemp telling his team, we got to move, we got to find angles. Don't let me get stuck with the basketball. But for the Utah Jazz, and John Stockton is perfect from the field, the win in Game 5 is what set the stage for them to be here. They believe regardless of what happens with the crowd, they know how to handle the defense of the Sonics.
Gary Payton really whacking Stockton away from the ball.
Malone off the mark. Rebound to Hersey Hawkins. Whistle blows. And this looks like it'll go against Seattle. Loose ball foul is on Payton.
Memphis had this play all the way. Peyton bumping, hooking, grabbing, holding. When the final shot was taken, just held him down. That was really an accumulation foul.
Then he was late. He added it up, and then he finally said, well, it's a foul. But, you know, you look at Hersey Hawkins trying to be more aggressive. That means that they're going to spread things out. Malone travels.
Steve, on that high post rub-off for the guard, I think a good quick pass to the cutter. That play is open right away. Karl Malone shuffles his feet on the nice rotating defense.
Tuesday night here in Seattle with a chance to put the Jazz away. Utah came up with a 3-point win in overtime. The Sonics swore to come out more aggressive in Game 6, but did not in Salt Lake City. They're trying to do that again here, and Gary Payton scores.
The size and strength of Payton inside, and the athleticism, that's where the real edge is for Seattle in this series. Payton over John Stockton, and they'll have to capitalize.
Malone with a pass to Stockton. 10 points for John Stockton.
Like so many teams just stand at the perimeter and watch guys play in the post. Utah, they split, they cut through.
Karl Malone disagrees with the call by Mike Memphis that it's Seattle basketball, but the call stands as the Jazz try to calm their leader down. 6:48 to play in the first quarter. Timeout on the floor. The Jazz 15, the Sonics 8. This is the NBA on NBC.
50. Kareem against Parrish. Long sky hook. In and out. And there's Magic Johnson. And the Celtics get the last basket of the game. 1:03 left in overtime. 101-99. Here's Iverson. Lou, the defender, stays right with him. Allen wants to go. Wants the baseline. Fade away. Yes.
He's way too good. He steps around Lou and drilled it. And the Sixers have scored 9 in a row.
7 straight points by Iverson. Looked like he was dead in the water.
The Sixers by 4. 40 seconds left.
It's 89-84. Sixers, and they get inside. Unbelievable. Julius Erving hit it reaming underneath. He was trapped, and he still got the field goal. And Westhead said, "Well, let's quiet everything after that." Watch this fantastic move by the doctor. Going to the baseline right side. Julius in the air, palming over the right hand, floating, reaching, and spinning it in. Incredible. What a play.
Welcome back to the NBA's greatest games.
The heart and soul of the Utah Jazz, Karl Malone, as we welcome you back to Seattle. This was the scene in Game 6, Thursday night in Salt Lake City. Karl's mom, Shirley Turner, sitting courtside. She's not here today because of what happened Tuesday night here.
My mom and Felton, Spencer mom, and Antoine Carmon, they went out to a little place called Wendover, and they gambled the night we won here. So they went back out there yesterday, and they did the identical same thing. They wore the same clothes, they did the same restaurant, and they stayed in the same room, and they watching the game on TV. So I said, Mom, if it worked for you, fine. I'm not a superstitious kind of guy, but it worked at one time. I said, go do the same thing. So I gave her the money and said, I'll see you when I get home.
But he's not a superstitious kind of guy.
I just go along with that extra edge. You know, the Seattle Supersonics play better when they're down early. They seem to play out of fear, and that gets their attention. We'll see if that happens. Hawkins for 3.
Hersey Hawkins was 0 for 8 from the floor in the blowout loss Thursday night at Salt Lake City, and vowed that it would be different here tonight.
But how do they get those threes? All that sets up by getting to the hoop and sucking that defense in. That's something they have not done well in this series, as their three-point shooting has slumped horribly the last 4 games.
Malone will go to the line and shoot 2 off the nice pass from John Stockton.
Now, if you talk about a team making an adjustment, this is where Utah has made their adjustment. They led the league in field goal percentage, and the reason for it, they get a lot of layups. In the first 4 games, they were struggling to get those. Now now they're almost getting him at will. Karl Malone getting his first layup attempt this afternoon.
The fans counting Karl Malone down. It has been an issue here in Seattle. The fans feel that Karl Malone takes more than the mandatory 10 seconds to get his shot away. So Malone gets the ball now. They will start. And Stockton makes the steal.
John Stockton's the sharpest player in the game today.
Well, he's got a mismatch and trying to take advantage of it, and Chris Morris got in, and they give him a shot.
Seattle comes away with the ball, and Kemp draws the foul. That'll be number 2 on Felton Spencer.
Felton Spencer was terrific in Game 6. The blowout, not off to a good start today with a couple of fouls early. This is a shot that Chris Morris has get to go down. Steve, we talked in the blowout Thursday night at Salt Lake City how Utah had to come out with a spectacular open. They had to come out and play perfect basketball for the first 8 minutes. They've come close to that. Chris Morris's stick back there would have helped their cause.
Well, it certainly would have, but they've gotten Chris Morris in the game. He comes out, Brian Russell is in the game, and he has done a better job defensively against Detlef Schrempf. See if Schrempf stays aggressive at the offensive end, because Russell's a guy that's made him become tentative and hesitant about shooting the ball.
Greg Foster has also come off the bench, and Kemp goes right around Foster for the basket. 6 points for Sean Kemp. 15-13, the Jazz lead is 2.
Last 2 games, Sean Kemp played 40 minutes a game, got 25 points and 14 rebounds a game.
Hornacek pops off of the pick and gives it back to Malone, who works on Sam Perkins. Fall away, front rim, Perkins with the rebound. Payton gonna push it. Schrempf. And whistle blows, and an offensive foul.
Detlef Schrempf can't believe they're going to call this on him, but that's Utah. Excuse me, that's Seattle basketball. George Karl has to be very pleased with this tempo here. The fast break generated by the defense, just to push off there. Very little contact. The defender easily moving backward.
Here's the Brian Russell defense on Detlef Schrempf. As Stockton sits down, he's 4 for 4 from the field, replaced by Howard Isley, who throws it away. Around and down the lane, he'll shoot 2.
A different Hersey Hawkins, up and alert defensively, able to get into the passing lane to make that play possible. They haven't made a lot of steals. As a matter of fact, they're down big to the Utah Jazz. They led the league the last couple of seasons, but a more aggressive Hersey Hawkins. And that's his storyline for the day. Do whatever it takes to win the game.
Hersey Hawkins, in fact, saying, hey, if you have to throw a few elbows, if you've got to lay someone out on the floor, this is a Game 7. You've got to do it today. Payton hits 1 out of 2. The Jazz save the ball.
That last turnover by Howard Isley, that's the first poor play that I can remember him having in this entire series. He's played magnificently in reserve behind Stockton.
Now you look at the way Hawkins is really shadowing.
There's another throwaway. This time Hornacek, and Kemp is fouled on his way to the basket.
What is Utah doing? Utah's driving away from the basket to the sideline, to the corner, jumping in the air and throwing cross-court passes. That's the way they lost Game 2 when John Stockton did it. Now they're feeding Sean Kemp, Hersey Hawkins, and a breakaway foul call.
And exactly the kind of turnovers Seattle was committing Thursday night in Salt Lake City. Sean Kemp will shoot 2.
If you look at Sean Kemp, who came out early, I mean, he is lathered and beaded up, and he is really excited, but playing with control, and that's made a huge difference for George Karl. Both of the free throws.
Sonics by 1, 16-15. Seattle, winners of 64 games during the regular season. They have now scored the last 8 points over a 2-minute span.
Hersey Hawkins' defense on Hornacek has been solid.
Hornacek Jeff Hornacek came up with 23 points in Game 6.
So much for solid D.
Well, no, I mean, Hornacek has been shooting the ball without hesitating. That was great defense, but great offense. He's got one of the quickest releases in the league, and he's able to get that one up and down.
Nice weak side rotation by Foster. Perkins for three. This is the kind of game that Sam Perkins will shine in. Terrific veteran, championship experience, college level, played in the finals against Chicago and Jordan in '91.
Batted away by Perkins, out of bounds.
You got to watch George Karl because he's trying to pick and choose when he sends the double team. That time he was up and animated telling them to get after him because they felt they had a chance to make a steal, almost had it.
Look at the Seattle bench. They got 6 coaches standing up there. They're all doing circular motions. Players get confused looking over there.
Everybody stays home. Hornacek with the ball. On the corner. And Payton got a piece of it. NBA's Defensive Player of the Year with the play. Drive. Gives to Hawkins.
Defense leading to offense. Seattle's main weapon.
Hawkins has 5. We have 2:50 to play in the first. Sonics lead it by 4.
Normally Isley gets about 4 minutes, but he's only been in the game 2, and John Stockton back at the bench. Sloan knows how big this is. He's got to settle his team down.
Particularly with Stockton playing so well.
Shot clock down to 5. Malone comes up shy. Kemp with the rebound.
Not a shot we see Karl Malone take a lot. A Ewing runner across his body from the right box.
Vincent Askew's 3 is way off the mark, and Isley has the rebound. Now comes the double team at Isley again. Brian Russell. And the lob into Malone. And Malone overshoots the basket. Wanted the foul called, none coming. Back come the Sonics in a hurry. And Hawkins traveled. Sonics will take issue with Hugh Evans for that call. In the meantime, we'll stop with 2:03 to play in the first. The Sonics 21, the Jazz 17. There are no more tomorrows for the loser. The winner moves on to the NBA championship round.
Here comes Avery Johnson. A title's at stake. Spurs are closing in. You want Duncan. Got it on the entry pass. Double team. Elliott on top. Elliott bluffs, drives, kicks. Avery Johnson with the lead. Yes.
Avery Johnson drills it from the baseline, and the Spurs have regained the lead.
The little guy sticks that dagger right toward your heart on every occasion.
The San Antonio Spurs win their first ever NBA championship.
Rockets fans smell victory. Rockets have the ball with the game tied and 6.7 to play. Drexler outside, Maloney, Johnson at the buzzer. Eddie Johnson hits at the buzzer to give the Rockets a 95-92 win over the Jazz.
7, 6, 5. DeBusschere shoots. Hit with 3 seconds to go. 2 seconds. 1 second. West throws it up. He makes it. West threw it up and makes it. Over half court. The ball game is tied. Jerry West made it from the other side of the midcourt stripe.
Welcome back to the NBA's greatest games.
Karl Malone averaging almost 27 points a game in the postseason, 0 for 5, no points so far this afternoon. Meanwhile, at the off-guard position, the matchup between Hersey Hawkins and Jeff Hornacek is one to watch. Hornacek, we told you, 23 points in Game 6. Not off to the quick start yet today. Averaging 22, while Hersey Hawkins averages 10. And Hersey Hawkins says this.
I spoke to one of my closest friends last night. Johnny Dawkins called me, and you know, he has a way of just of laying into you in a gentle way. And, you know, he basically told me, listen, he said, you know, Game 7 situations, you don't want to look back on this 5 or 10 years down the road and think that you didn't give it all you had. And he said, you're an offensive player, so go out there and play offense and do whatever it takes to win. And, you know, then if you don't win, you can look in the mirror and say, hey, I still did my best.
Well, Karl Malone got his first basket, and Hersey Hawkins says, you know it's a meaningful phone call when the guy calls you from the East Coast and it's 3 a.m. Eastern time. Hawkins on the bench.
Hopefully John Dawkins got up to make that phone call.
Nate McMillan on the floor for the first time today for 3. And McMillan hobbled severely.
But not a good strategy for Nate, who is one of the class gentlemen in this league. Hasn't been playing well, been limited by minutes, and coming the first touch, shoot a 3. I don't think so.
Well, you know, part of their philosophy is to be themselves, and if they have a shot, to take a shot. Steal McMillan.
Kemp down the lane. And Foster back for the rebound.
Terrific rebound by Foster. They've got to get Karl Malone some looks where he can step out about 10 to 12 feet off the box, turn and face, and drive to the hoop. He's got a much smaller man has view on him here.
Seattle's defense has been very active here early. Malone gets that one deep. And an easy 2.
That's the kind of play he needs. He's been shooting fadeaways every time.
We're tied at 21, the last 45 seconds of the first quarter.
You know, Greg, Bill Walton didn't sleep last night, and when he did, he dreamed that he played in this game. I've already taken 3 shots from him in the rib, so, you know, he's up for this, and all of the people here are as well. Another turnover.
We won by 100 last night, Steve. And I was rolling up and down that floor.
That, of course, is after we get through all the fire drills in our hotel. 25 seconds to the first quarter.
If you're a defender, what you want to do is go at John Stockton. Do not let him initiate, because if he gets you back on his heels, he's going to go all the way, or he's going to pull up and shoot the shot after you.
Stockton. That's his first miss of the game. Perkins with the rebound. 5 seconds for the quarter. Payton tried to go behind his back, and Malone called timeout with 7/10 of a second to play.
Very poor timeout.
This will be a 20-second timeout.
Players have gotten in the habit of calling timeout in these kinds of situations. Game recognition dictates that you just let this one go. You'll need that 20-second at some other point here in the first half.
Steve, you need to prepare yourself. These kind of plays, you wait till late in the third and throughout the fourth quarter.
Want to remind you that prime time, 9 p.m. Eastern time, Wednesday night, Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Join us. The Bulls will host the winner of this game, either Seattle or Utah. The Jazz or the Sonics against the Bulls in the NBA Finals. Michael Jordan looks happy now. It'd be too much rest for the Chicago standout. It's the NBA Finals in prime time, Wednesday night Eastern here on NBC. You know, the Bulls dispatched the Orlando Magic in 4, and they've just been sitting around while these guys have gone 7 games. How much rest is too much rest?
However much they're getting is going to be too much, because at this point in the season, you need those games. You need the crowd pushing you, yelling at you to be able to fight through the level of pain that you're in by this point of the season to maintain your conditioning. Utah having trouble getting it in.
Russell with the hook and buzzer and almost hit it. Oh, would Kareem Abdul-Jabbar been proud of that sky hook. John Stockton, 4 out of 5 and 10 points to lead the Jazz. Sean Kemp has 8 on 3 of 5 shooting from the floor. This is the one for all the marbles, the one that moves the winner against the Chicago Bulls. Coming back for the start of the second quarter, we're tied at 21.
Traffic to Kerr, 15-footer.
It was a 10-point Spurs lead. Barkley picks and rolls and scores.
Robinson on Barkley. It's his game to win, or we go to overtime. Barkley, 20-footer, yes! Charles Barkley with an MVP jump shot. And the Suns have won the Western Conference semifinal 4 games to 2.
4:10 remaining in the 5th game. Here they go. They get it to Fisher. He scores! Derek Fisher scores at the buzzer.
We got to take a look at it, but I got to tell you, live, it looked good.
You know, at the risk of being a shill, now I know why they say, we love this game.
We love this game.
It's just unbelievable.
Welcome back to the NBA's greatest games.
Greg Gumbel, Bill Walton, Steve Jones, Ahmad Rashad, Jim Gray back at Key Arena in Seattle. This is how the first quarter came to an end. The big hook from beyond half court by Brian Russell almost went in.
And it would have been a good timeout if he had made it.
Well, from the basket cam, you see just how close it was as it ricochets in and out. But we had a great opening quarter of play. Both teams have worked out the nerves, and now it'll be a question of what contribution Seattle gets off the bench versus the contribution of Russell and Carr, who have been more consistent in games 5 and 6.
Steve, Ahmad was telling us from the Utah bench about how Jerry Sloan displeased with the big man rotation against Seattle's press, and how they want to get Karl Malone more in the paint. Forget the fadeaway stuff, according to Ahmad and Jerry Sloan.
Russell now tight on Gary Payton, who gets by and goes through the lane.
And certainly we've seen a more aggressive Gary Payton than we saw in Game 6, who seemed to be distracted, wasn't in the ball game, looking to penetrate and make things happen.
Frank Kwiatkowski into the game now. His job to shadow Karl Malone. Shot clock down to 7. Malone around his man, can't get it to fall, and Kwiatkowski has the rebound.
Not a good offensive start for Karl Malone today. Too many dribbles, too much hesitation. Needs quicker moves to the hoop.
Malone is 2 for 8 from the floor today.
But Malone is going to get into this game. He's the kind of player that sometimes will struggle early and eventually get a rhythm. They're going to get a push underneath. The Sonics will get a new 24, Antoine Carr, the big dog, the original big dog.
Hey, still the big dog. The new big dog needs to do something. This big dog has already done it.
Now Russell has got the job of defending Payton, and when Payton sees this, he's going to try to beat him around the corner.
Back outside, Perkins for 3. And that'll be out of bounds to Utah.
Good pass by Nate McMillan. You can just see the pain on his face when he tries to move. It's so sad. There's a guy who's given everything to this franchise, the only team he's ever played for. Taking a shot and his blow back before the game. So dangerous.
The nerve problem affecting his left leg. And as we saw in Salt Lake City on Thursday night, he cannot elevate very well.
But nothing's going to keep him out of this game, and certainly if they win it, nothing's keeping them out of the championship. Both of these teams know they may not get to this championship again, and they're going to leave it all out today.
Carr converts off the bad pass. Morris and Brian Russell in the game at the same time, something we have not seen from Utah.
We got Brian Russell playing some big guard. There's Sam Perkins stroking everything, bringing it all. Perkins moving so well. I have not been impressed, Greg, with Utah's ability to feed the post quickly. Nate McMillan gets called for a foul. Stockton looks so much quicker than he has at any time during the course of this series. Here's a slow pass that Kwiatkowski gets out on, and the strength in the hands of Antoine Carr enables him to finish with no weak side rotation.
Meanwhile, John Stockton went right over to Antoine Carr and told him, you've got to be moving on those drives.
The problem that they have in handling John Stockton's tough shot for Russell is that they are letting him initiate. And if you're a defender, you cannot allow a guard to come at you and expect that you can control him.
We have timeout on the floor with 9:52 to play. The Sonics lead it by 2. This is the NBA on NBC.
picks up his fifth.
Oh, that's a highlight show. You'll be seeing that on your local newscast. Kevin Johnson.
Thomas wants to get it in quickly.
Welcome back to the NBA's greatest games.
Next weekend, NBC Sports continues its coverage of the French Open presented by Perrier. Number 1 seed Pete Sampras looks to add a French Open trophy to his collection, the only Grand Slam title that has eluded him. Grand Slam tennis on NBC. The French Open presented by Perrier. Special daytime coverage of the men's semifinal action next Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. The women's final next Saturday at 12 noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And the men's final next Sunday, 9 a.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific on NBC.
Sampras looked pretty good today. That basketball move he was working on.
Heads out of bounds off Barr, who protests the push from Bukowski from behind. Frank Bukowski comes off of the Seattle bench playing physical basketball.
They got an unusual lineup in, a small lineup, and this is what George Karl likes to do, to get a team to try to match up with him, move people in and out. Bukowski knocks down Russell.
So Bukowski comes back, and that's his second personal foul.
Shrimp comes back in, Detlef and Sean Kemp comes in. So Shrimp and Kemp and Perkins and Gary Payton out of the ball game.
Seattle getting stellar play, Utah, solid play out of their backcourt. Stockton and Hornacek 6 for 9 between them. Rest of the team just 4 for 15.
Foster with Shrimp on it. Gets a look. Greg Foster. And we're tied at 25.
Foster was their third or fourth string center this year behind Spencer, Ostertag, Adam Keefe, Antoine Carr. Now he's playing terrific minutes.
And Stockton going to get called up top for this one.
One thing that Jerry Sloan said about Game 7, I want to find out who wants to compete on both sides of the floor. And Greg Foster has gotten better as the series has gone along. As long as he stays within that area, doesn't get too happy, he's going to make Jerry Sloan happy. Now, when he starts drifting outside and begins to think that he can shoot deep, he's going to find himself on the bench.
Askew finds himself open and hits. Vincent Askew, his first basket of the evening. 27-25, Seattle, 8:40 to play first half.
The size of these interchangeable players for George Karl in the backcourt, Nate McMillan and Vincent Askew, can play up big over the top of guys like John Stockton. Brian Russell now playing the off-guard, got to do a better defensive job.
Double team comes to Stockton. Morris to Foster. Foster jumper short. Askew with the rebound. Sonics 2-on-1 if Shemp can get a hold of it, and he cannot.
Terrific retreat by Utah.
They're going to double and make somebody else beat him.
Bukowski, before he gets the three away, there is a foul called down low. And Kemp with some words for John Stockton. Nate McMillan with the second personal.
What is Greg Foster doing getting a technical in this situation? Maybe standing up for his teammate John Stockton that got decked in the lane. You don't want to give up a point here.
Take a look at it up above, and you'll see Stockton is stuck right in the fray right there, and actually was trying to draw the foul against Nate McMillan. So he went down. That's when the disagreement came up.
So Shrimp gets the technical. Sonics lead it by 3.
Karl Malone back in the fray. Ahmad Rashad was talking to us about Jerry Sloan's displeasure with Utah's offense against the trapping, pressing defense for Seattle. Utah's handled that the last couple days. They have not done a good job this afternoon.
Now Brian Russell will move back to the forward position as Hornacek comes back in the backcourt.
Now this is the lineup that has given Seattle the most trouble. Carr, Malone up front with Stockton, Hornacek, and Russell out on the floor.
Malone working on Bukowski. Turnaround. Too strong.
was trying to stay calm and quiet, let the game come to him. So he's still a little bit too excited. He's got to work some of that adrenaline down.
His fadeaway is not working, though.
And there was a foul on Antoine Carr, who was none too pleased about it. That's number 2 on Carr.
After a brilliant start for Utah in the first 5 or 6 minutes, they've really struggled to get good looks. Antoine Carr in foul trouble.
But actually, that was a good foul. Sean Kemp was right at the basket. If he catches it there, it's a throwdown. So they're better off making them reset, come back with another 24 seconds, and make them become a perimeter team.
I would never go for a steal on Sean Kemp. Always make him shoot turnaround fadeaways.
When Seattle's in trouble, it's when they stand, they don't cut to the basket, end up with a 3-second violation. This is a team that needs motion, they need activity, and in this possession, they don't get it.
Steve, Utah's done a fine job of sending those cutters through, setting screens on the weak side, splitting on the strong side. Seattle standing and watching in the post.
The Sonics have had turnover problems lately against Utah.